The arena stretched as far as the eye could see, a massive circle of polished metal and shining glass that reflected the light of 100 suns. Thousands of spectators from every corner of the galaxy filled the stands, their voices mixed into a roar of excitement and anticipation, eager to witness the Tournament of 10 Worlds, an event that showcased the strongest warriors, the most skilled strategists and the cleverest fighters the galaxy had ever known. In the center of the arena, standing on a raised platform of glowing crystal, was Princess Zalara of Arcanis, the undefeated champion of her empire. Her armor shimmered in shades of deep purple and silver, reflecting both her royal status and her deadly skill. Her long, dark hair framed a face that was both beautiful and fierce, with eyes that could freeze even the bravest soul. She had trained for decades, mastering combat techniques from every corner of the galaxy, and she had never been defeated, not once. Zalara raised her hand and the crowd fell silent, sensing that something extraordinary was about to happen. A smile touched her lips, not a smile filled with pride, confidence, and a touch of mischief. "My friends," she said, her voice clear and strong, echoing through the arena. "Today you will witness another chapter in Arcanis history. You will see why no warrior has ever bested me, and why the pride of my people will remain unmatched." The crowd cheered, waving banners, flags, and holographic symbols representing their planets and civilizations. Every species in attendance looked up to Zalara, respecting her skill and authority. And yet she was not here merely to show strength. She wanted to entertain. She wanted to challenge expectations. Her gaze swept across the audience until it landed on a group of humans sitting together. Humans were rare in the tournament. Many aliens underestimated them, believing their small size and limited technology made them weak. Zalara's lips curved into a playful smirk. She decided to provoke a little. "And now," she said, her voice rising above the cheers, "let me make something perfectly clear. I will defeat every warrior who dares to challenge me. Every species, every champion, every fighter." She paused, her eyes glinting with amusement. "Even a human." The crowd laughed, not unkindly but with a sense of disbelief. They knew humans were clever, yes, but strong, not in the way Zalara meant. The thought of a human stepping into the arena against her seemed absurd. Zalara tilted her head, letting the tension build. She spoke again, her voice dripping with playful arrogance. "And if, by some impossible twist of fate, a human were to ever defeat me, then I suppose—" She paused dramatically, letting the words hang in the air. "I would have no choice but to marry him." Her laughter rang out like the chime of crystal bells, light and musical, but with an edge that warned anyone daring enough to challenge her. The crowd erupted. Some cheered for her wit. Others gasped at the boldness of the claim. It was meant to be a joke, a way to amuse the spectators while showing her confidence. But as her words echoed through the arena, one quiet voice from the back of the room began to stir curiosity. A human stood, tall but unassuming, dressed not in fancy armor but in a simple, practical uniform. Captain Elias Ward had a calm demeanor, his dark eyes steady, scanning the arena without fear. He had heard her words not as a joke but as a challenge, a call to prove that humans often underestimated could rise above expectation. Elias stepped forward, his movements deliberate. Every alien in the stands looked at him with a mix of surprise and amusement. Some even chuckled, whispering, "A human dares?" Zalara's eyes widened slightly at the sight of him. She had expected bravado from some arrogant alien prince or warrior, but this human, there was a quiet confidence about him that was different. Not arrogance, not recklessness, confidence. He didn't shout. He didn't boast. He simply stood there ready. The arena grew tense. The usual roar of excitement lowered into a hum of anticipation. Zalara's smile softened into a small, calculating grin. This human was unexpected, a rarity in itself. "You wish to challenge me?" she asked, her voice still carrying amusement. Elias nodded. "I do. I am Captain Elias Ward of Earth. I accept your challenge." The crowd gasped, murmuring among themselves. A human in the Tournament of 10 Worlds was already remarkable. But for one to openly challenge the undefeated princess, it seemed impossible. Zalara's grin widened. "Very well," she said. "If you dare, you may step into the arena." She gestured to the circular fighting ground, its surface glowing faintly with energy lines that marked the boundaries. "But know this, I have faced every champion of every world. No human has ever survived a single round. And I assure you," her eyes sparkled with humor, You will not either. Elias walked forward, keeping his movements calm and precise. The humans in the audience cheered quietly, their voices carrying pride and hope. They had always known that humans were underestimated in the galaxy. And now, one of their own was stepping forward to prove it. As the crowd settled, the arena's energy shifted. Lights focused on the two combatants. The rules were simple: no weapons from outside the arena, no lethal strikes. The fight was to demonstrate skill, agility, and strategy. It was a test of the mind and body as much as strength. Zalara raised her weapon, a staff that pulsed with alien energy, capable of incredible speed and force. She twirled it effortlessly, her eyes never leaving Elias. "Show me what humans are made of," she said, her voice both mocking and curious. Elias stood calmly, hands empty, relying not on technology or weapons, but on his agility, reflexes, and training. He was not the strongest, but humans had a history of using creativity and adaptability to survive, a fact that aliens often overlooked. The announcer's voice echoed over the arena. "Let the match begin." Zalara lunged first, fast as a striking comet. The audience gasped at the blur of motion, certain that the human would be knocked down immediately. But Elias moved with astonishing reflexes, sidestepping, ducking, and even using her momentum to roll safely out of the way. The crowd murmured in disbelief. "How is he moving like that?" one alien whispered. Zalara's eyes narrowed. She had expected a quick victory, a show of skill to amuse the spectators. But this human was different. He didn't have her raw strength or years of elite training, yet he adapted to every move, countered in unexpected ways, and kept his calm under pressure. Round after round, the two tested each other. Zalara attacked with the precision of centuries of martial discipline. Elias countered with ingenuity, using misdirection, speed, and clever thinking. He was learning her patterns as they fought, exploiting tiny openings and refusing to give up despite the odds. By the end of the first part of the tournament, the audience was silent with shock. A human had lasted against Princess Zalara longer than anyone expected. And though the match was far from over, one thing was clear. The galaxy was about to witness something extraordinary. Even Zalara, confident and proud, could not help but feel a flicker of admiration. This human was not just surviving, he was proving that the human spirit, unpredictable and resilient, could stand against even the mightiest warrior of Arcanis. And somewhere in her mind, the playful thought returned. What if this human could really beat me? The arena lights dimmed, signaling the end of the first part of the tournament. Elias and Zalara stood in the center, faces determined, hearts racing, and the entire galaxy watching. The stage was set for a battle that would be remembered for centuries. And the question that now hung in the air, unspoken but felt by all, was simple yet powerful. Could a human really win? For the first time in her life, Princess Zalara wondered if her bold words, the ones she had laughed about so freely, might not be a joke after all. The crowd roared one final time as both fighters left the arena, preparing for what would be the most incredible confrontation the galaxy had ever seen. The air inside the arena was heavy with anticipation. Everywhere the crowd murmured, whispers of disbelief traveling through the stands. A human had dared to step forward, a species known across the galaxy for their ingenuity but not for their strength. Yet here he was, standing calmly in the glowing circle of the arena, waiting for the next phase of the challenge. Princess Zalara watched him with a mixture of amusement and curiosity. Her violet eyes narrowed slightly. She had faced warriors who were bold, arrogant, even reckless, but Elias Ward carried himself differently. There was no bluster in his stance, no theatrics. His confidence was quiet, steady, and somehow unnerving. "Do you know what you are asking for, human?" Zalara said, her voice carrying across the arena. "You are not just facing a champion. You are facing the pride of Arcanis, the strongest fighter in the galaxy. Many have tried to defeat me. None have succeeded. Why do you think you will be any different?" Elias lifted his chin, calm and collected. "Because I do not fight like others," he said simply. "I do not rely on strength alone. I adapt, I observe, and I never give up." The crowd was intrigued. They had seen countless matches, warriors from 10 different worlds, each confident in their superiority. But this human's words carried a sense of determination that was rare, even among the most skilled combatants. Solara laughed lightly, the sound ringing like a chime through the arena. "We shall see, Captain Ward. Let the real challenge begin." The arena lights shifted, signaling the start of the first real match. The energy of the arena itself seemed to respond, lines of glowing light running along the floor and walls, marking zones for agility, strategy, and combat skill. Spectators leaned forward, knowing they were about to witness something unusual, perhaps even history. Solara struck first. Her staff, glowing with alien energy, moved like lightning. She was fast, precise, and unrelenting. Every move she made had been honed over decades of training. To the untrained eye, it might have looked effortless, almost artistic. But every strike carried the potential to defeat an opponent instantly. Elias didn't flinch. He watched her carefully, waiting for the right moment. Instead of meeting her strength with his own, which would have been foolish, he moved with agility and intuition. He sidestepped her first attack, using the momentum of her strike to roll past her. Then he used a combination of speed and clever footwork to maintain distance, forcing her to adjust her rhythm. The crowd gasped. Never had they seen a human move with such fluidity under pressure. Aliens whispered in surprise. "How is he moving so fast?" "He predicts her strikes." Zalara's expression shifted from amusement to genuine interest. This human was not only surviving, he was learning. Every attack she launched, he adapted. Every feint he read. He wasn't relying on force. He was relying on mind and observation, skills that many of her previous opponents had neglected. She increased the intensity, spinning, striking from every angle. The sound of her staff cutting through the air echoed across the arena. Yet Elias stayed calm. He ducked, rolled, and countered with his own simple but effective movements. He didn't attempt to overpower her. He used strategy, timing, and precise placement to avoid danger. It was a dance of skill and intellect, one that no one in the crowd had expected to witness from a human. Slowly, astonishment turned into admiration. Spectators from multiple worlds began cheering for him, not just out of surprise, but because they sensed something profound. Humanity's resilience, creativity, and unpredictability could rival even the mightiest alien warriors. As the match continued, Solara realized she could not treat him lightly. Every move he made was calculated, deliberate, and effective. He used the environment to his advantage, dodging near energy zones that could have knocked him down, and even using the arena's reflective surfaces to obscure her vision momentarily. "You are clever," Solara said, striking again with incredible speed. "But cleverness alone will not win this match." Elias smiled faintly, dodging a high strike and landing just beyond her reach. "I do not need to outmatch you in strength. I only need to find a way to endure, and to outthink." The words resonated with the crowd. It was more than a fight. It was a battle of wits and perseverance. Solara had faced opponents who relied purely on muscle or raw energy. Elias relied on his mind as much as his body, and it made him unpredictable. Unpredictable, Solara realized, was one of humanity's greatest strengths. Minutes passed and the battle grew more intense. Solara struck with increasing speed, each attack designed to break his defense. Elias ducked, twisted, and used minimal effort to evade, conserving his energy while continuously observing her technique. He noticed patterns, the slight hesitation before a thrust, the rhythm of her spin, the way she relied on her staff's length to maintain distance. Then, when the moment was right, he used a clever maneuver. As Solara lunged with full force, Elias sidestepped at the perfect moment, allowing her momentum to carry her slightly off balance. He did not strike to harm. He only created a small opening, a subtle indication that he was capable of thinking ahead. The audience erupted in excitement, sensing the shift in dynamics. Solara paused briefly, breathing evenly but with a new respect in her eyes. This human was not reckless. He was not blindly courageous. He was strategically courageous, a combination of boldness and intelligence that few could match. "You are unlike any human I have encountered," Solara admitted, twirling her staff and striking again. "But will it be enough? Will your resilience last against the full force of my skill?" Elias responded with a simple nod, his focus unwavering. "I do not know if it will, but I will not give up." The battle continued round after round. Solara's attacks became faster, more unpredictable. Elias adapted, using everything he had learned in the first minutes to stay just ahead. He was pushed to the limits of human endurance. But he found strength in his history, in the stories of humans overcoming impossible odds, surviving hostile worlds, and inventing solutions where none seemed possible. Every step, every movement, every decision reflected centuries of human ingenuity and resilience. Aliens watching could not help but be impressed. Even some of Zalara's own people began murmuring in admiration. Despite his small size compared to Zalara, Elias showed that humans could be a force to reckon with. He didn't have the raw power of the Arcanis, the speed of the Zephyrians, or the energy manipulation of the Tharok. But he had something that few could match: adaptability, intelligence, and courage. As the first stage of the challenge drew to a close, the crowd erupted in applause. Elias had survived, and more than that, he had stood his ground against the undefeated champion. Zalara lowered her staff for a brief moment, studying him with a mixture of curiosity and respect. This human, he might actually teach me something, she thought silently. Perhaps humans are not as weak as I believed. The match paused, allowing both combatants a moment to recover. Sweat glistened on Elias's brow, and his breathing was steady but deep. Zalara's hair clung slightly to her forehead, her eyes bright with renewed focus. Both understood that this was only the beginning. The real challenge was yet to come, and neither would give an inch without a fight. Back in the stands, spectators whispered excitedly. Aliens who had long underestimated humans now watched with a new perspective. Humans, they realized, had something unique, a combination of creativity, unpredictability, and unwavering determination. It was the kind of resilience that could surprise even the most experienced warriors. Zalara returned her staff to a ready position. She narrowed her eyes at Elias, a spark of competitiveness lighting her gaze. "You have lasted longer than I expected," she said. "But do not think this is over. The next round will test everything you have: your mind, your body, and your spirit." Elias nodded, stepping forward once more. "I am ready," he said, and his calm, steady voice carried a quiet confidence that resonated with the entire arena. The lights shifted again, signaling the start of the next stage. The audience leaned forward, knowing that what they were about to witness could change the perception of humanity forever. And in that moment, for the first time, Zalara realized that she had underestimated not just this human, but the potential of all humanity. The challenge was far from over, but Elias Ward had already made his mark. The galaxy was watching. The undefeated champion had found a worthy opponent, and the human spirit, once dismissed as fragile and weak, was showing its true power: cleverness, endurance, and unyielding courage. The tournament was no longer just a contest of strength. It had become a stage for something greater, a battle that could redefine the place of humans among the stars. The arena was alive with energy, the crowd buzzing with excitement and disbelief. Never had anyone seen a human stand against Princess Zalara of Arcanis with such skill and composure. Even the most seasoned warriors in the stands whispered among themselves. Astonished by Elias Ward's ability to match her movements and think several steps ahead, Zalara herself paused for a moment, taking in what she had witnessed so far. Her violet eyes, usually sharp and calculating, held a new light, a mix of intrigue, curiosity, and something she had never felt before in combat: respect for a human. She had trained all her life, fought countless opponents, and expected to win easily. Yet here was a human who refused to break, who adapted, who used not just reflexes but strategy and intuition. "Interesting," she muttered under her breath, twirling her glowing staff. "You may be more clever than I anticipated, human." Elias remained calm, hands at his sides for a brief moment, breathing evenly. He had studied her moves carefully, noting her strengths, her patterns, and even the subtle tells that gave away her intentions. He did not underestimate her power, and he knew that the next stage would demand more than clever dodges. It would require creativity, courage, and endurance beyond his limits. The announcer's voice rang out across the arena. "The next round begins! Contestants, prepare!" The energy barriers within the arena shifted, creating new obstacles. Rising platforms, shifting walls, and rotating panels designed to test balance, agility, and awareness appeared in the circle. Zalara's eyes narrowed. She had dominated every environment before, but this human had surprised her in ways no other opponent had. Elias studied the arena, noting the moving panels and energy fields. He did not rush in. Every step was calculated, every movement deliberate. He knew he could not rely on speed alone. He had to combine intellect with reflexes. Solara charged forward first, her staff spinning with incredible speed. The air hummed with power as she struck the first obstacle with force, sending sparks into the air. She aimed to control the arena, to dominate not just the human but the space itself. Elias ducked just in time, rolling under her swing and using the momentum to propel himself onto a moving platform. The crowd gasped. Few humans could move like this. Few could read an alien champion's attacks and respond so effectively in such a dynamic environment. Solara's attacks came faster and stronger. She lunged, spun, and leaped from platform to platform with remarkable precision. Each strike was meant to overwhelm, to force Elias into a mistake. But he remained focused, predicting the rhythm of her movements, adapting to every change, and using the arena's shifting panels to his advantage. At one point, Solara aimed a downward strike as Elias landed on a rotating platform. The force of the strike sent vibrations through the surface, trying to unbalance him. Elias jumped, landing with perfect timing on a nearby panel, and pushed off to avoid her next blow. The crowd roared with amazement, seeing human agility and intelligence outmaneuver alien power and experience. Solara's smile faded slightly. For the first time, she realized that brute skill might not be enough. She had always relied on strength, speed, and superior training to win. But Elias was adapting faster than expected, turning every challenge into an opportunity. "You are clever," she admitted aloud, striking again with controlled force. "But cleverness alone will not win." Elias, breathing steadily, responded without hesitation. "I do not need to overpower you. I need to endure and create my own opportunity." The words echoed across the arena, carrying more weight than any sword or staff could. The spectators leaned forward, sensing that this match was no longer just a demonstration of skill. It was a battle of wits. Resilience and spirit, Solara increased her attacks, now combining rapid strikes with feint spins and leaps that challenged both speed and focus. She wanted to push Elias beyond his limits, to see if he could withstand the full force of a champion. But Elias, drawing on human endurance and ingenuity, anticipated her moves, countering in ways that surprised even her. At one critical moment, Solara launched a complex spin attack, combining energy blasts with physical strikes in a pattern she had perfected over years. Elias, seeing the sequence, did something unexpected. Instead of retreating, he anticipated the rhythm and timed a jump perfectly. Using the momentum from her spin, he flipped over her head, landing safely behind her. The audience erupted, shouting in amazement at the human's daring maneuver. Solara froze for a fraction of a second, her eyes wide. She had never been countered like this before. Every opponent had faltered at some point, but Elias, he was learning, predicting, and moving with both courage and precision. You may actually survive this," she said, more to herself than to him. "Perhaps humans are not as weak as we believed." Elias approached carefully, his movements calm but ready. "Strength is not everything," he said. "Adaptability, creativity, and courage matter too." The battle intensified. The arena shifted again, walls rotating, platforms raising and lowering. Solara struck with everything she had, pushing Elias to exert every ounce of skill and energy. But every attack he dodged, every movement he made, demonstrated a human quality that aliens often underestimated: resilience against impossible odds. Minutes passed, and sweat glistened on both fighters. Solara's hair clung to her forehead, her breathing steady but fast. Elias's brow was damp, his uniform slightly scuffed, but his eyes shone with determination. The audience could see that neither combatant would yield easily, and the excitement grew to a fever pitch. Then, in a moment that would be remembered for ages, Elias saw an opening, a slight misstep in Solara's attack pattern, almost imperceptible but enough for a skilled observer to notice. He acted quickly. Using her own momentum, he redirected her spin with a small push, causing her to stumble slightly. It was not a strike meant to harm, but a demonstration that he could challenge her dominance. The arena fell silent for a heartbeat. The crowd held its collective breath, sensing that something unprecedented had just occurred. A human had created a true opening against Princess Solara. Solara recovered immediately, her expression shifting from surprise to intrigue. She had been tested, and the test was unlike any she had faced before. The human was not just clever, he was persistent, adaptable, and fearless. Every move he made carried the essence of human spirit, the kind of courage and ingenuity that had allowed humanity to survive countless challenges across their home planet. "You are remarkable," Zalara admitted, her voice steady despite the intensity of the battle. "Perhaps humans have been underestimated for too long." Elias nodded, catching his breath but remaining poised. "We survive by adapting, learning, and never giving up." The match continued, each moment more intense than the last. Zalara unleashed her full arsenal, combining speed, strategy, and alien energy in ways that could have defeated any other opponent. Yet Elias held firm, moving with precision, creativity, and endurance. The crowd, now fully aware that they were witnessing history, erupted in cheers and gasps, their excitement palpable. By the end of the round, both fighters were exhausted, but unbroken. Elias had survived, and more than that, he had proved his worth against the undefeated champion. Zalara's pride remained, but it was now tempered with respect. The human before her was not a weak opponent. He was a worthy challenger, a testament to the ingenuity and spirit of his species. The announcer's voice echoed through the arena. "This round concludes. Contestants, prepare for the next stage." Zalara lowered her staff slightly, studying Elias with renewed focus. She realized that the battle was far from over, and yet she felt a thrill she had never experienced before. She had been challenged in ways no other warrior had dared to challenge her, and it awakened something in her, a sense of excitement, respect, and curiosity. Elias, calm as ever, prepared himself for the next stage. His mind raced, considering every move, every strategy, every possibility. He had survived the initial assault and proved that humans could stand against even the mightiest of warriors. Now he would continue, not just for victory, but to show that human spirit, courage, and intelligence could stand on equal footing with the greatest beings in the galaxy. The arena's lights dimmed slightly, signaling the pause before the next stage. The crowd continued to cheer, many now rooting for the human, inspired by his determination and resilience. Even Zalara's own people whispered among themselves, acknowledging that they were witnessing a moment that would be remembered for generations. And in that brief pause, both warriors knew the truth. The match had reached a turning point. The human had survived the first test, endured the second, and earned the respect of the undefeated champion. The battle was far from over, but the stage had been set for something extraordinary. A confrontation that could change perceptions, inspire awe, and redefine what it meant to be human in the galaxy. The fight was no longer just a contest of strength. It had become a testament to intelligence, perseverance, and the indomitable spirit of humanity. And as Zalara and Elias faced each other once more, the crowd could feel the tension, the excitement, and the promise of something historic about to unfold. The turning point had arrived. And from this moment on, nothing would ever be the same. The arena was still vibrating with energy even after the final bell of the round had sounded. The spectators could barely contain their excitement. Never had a human shown such skill, courage, and endurance against Princess Zalara of Arcanus. Even the most experienced warriors in the stands whispered in amazement, realizing they had witnessed something extraordinary. Zalara stood in the center of the arena, her staff lowered slightly, her breathing steady but thoughtful. She had faced countless warriors across countless worlds, yet Elias Ward, a human, had pushed her to the limits and survived. Not only survived, but he had also matched her in strategy, agility, and resilience. For a moment, Zalara simply stared at him. She had always been confident, always certain of her supremacy. And yet here he was, calm, composed, and unbroken. She had underestimated humans for centuries, assuming them fragile, unpredictable, and weak compared to alien warriors. But this human had changed everything. The crowd erupted, cheering not just for the spectacle, but for the victory of intelligence, courage, and adaptability. Many were still processing the fact that a human had not only survived against the undefeated champion, but had done so with grace and skill. Aliens from multiple worlds exchanged stunned glances, realizing that humans might deserve far more respect than they had ever given them. Zalara's eyes softened slightly, a mixture of pride and admiration flickering within them. She remembered her own words spoken in jest at the beginning of the tournament. "If a human ever beats me, I'll marry him." It had been a bold, playful statement meant to amuse the crowd. And now, she found herself facing the reality of that challenge. Elias stood a few steps away, his chest rising and falling steadily as he caught his breath. His uniform was slightly scuffed and his brow glistened with sweat, but his eyes shone with a quiet determination. He had never fought for fame or glory. He had fought to prove that humans could hold their own against the greatest warriors in the galaxy, and he had succeeded. The first to break the silence was the announcer, his voice trembling with excitement. "Ladies and gentlemen across all worlds and species, and a human has done the impossible. Captain Elias Ward of Earth has not only survived against Princess Zalara of Arcanis, but has truly proven the strength of his spirit and mind." The arena erupted again. Banners waved, holographic symbols lit up, and cheers echoed across the stands. Even Zalara's closest advisors, who had always doubted the possibility of human competence, now whispered in admiration. Some could not help but smile. Zalara raised her hand, signaling for quiet. Her voice, steady and commanding, carried over the crowd. "This human is impressive. He has proven more than I expected, not through sheer strength, but through intelligence, strategy, and courage." The audience cheered once more, acknowledging the rare praise from the undefeated champion. Many realized that this match was not just a fight. It was a turning point in the perception of humanity across the galaxy. Humans, long underestimated, had now proven their worth. Zalara stepped closer to Elias, her eyes meeting his. There was no arrogance, no condescension, only respect. "You have done what I thought impossible. You have faced me with courage and wit, and you have survived. For that you have my admiration." Elias inclined his head slightly, acknowledging her words. "I did not fight for admiration. I fought to prove that humans are capable of standing among the greatest. But I am honored to earn your respect, Princess." The moment was heavy with significance. A human had earned the respect of a warrior who had never been defeated, and that respect was genuine. The crowd sensed it, and their cheers grew even louder. Across the stands, humans and aliens alike began to realize that the galaxy had underestimated the resilience and ingenuity of humanity. Yet Zalara's mind was not focused on the crowd. She was thinking about the promise she had made. Her playful words, unspoken without thought of consequence, were now a reality. A human had beaten her, and now, in accordance with her declaration, she would have to honor her vow. She took a deep breath, her hands resting lightly on her staff. "I spoke carelessly," she admitted, her voice quiet but audible. "I made a statement in jest, but the outcome, it cannot be denied. You have defeated me, human. According to my words, you have earned my hand." Elias's eyes widened slightly, but he quickly composed himself. "Princess, I did not fight for your hand. I fought to show that humans are capable, resilient, and worthy of respect. Your words were made in jest, and I do not expect you to honor them lightly." Zalara smiled softly, a mixture of warmth and amusement. "It is not jest now. I underestimated you, and you have proven yourself worthy. The vow stands, and it is my honor to recognize your achievement. You have earned something far beyond a victory in combat. You have earned my respect, my recognition, and my trust." The crowd murmured in amazement. This was more than a simple victory. It was the symbolic uniting of two species, a moment that would inspire stories for generations. Humans had not only survived against an undefeated champion, but had also proven themselves capable of achieving honor and recognition among the greatest warriors in the galaxy. Zalara turned to the audience, her voice strong and clear. "Let it be known across all worlds. The humans of Earth are not weak, not fragile, and not to be underestimated. Captain Elias Ward has shown courage, intelligence, and resilience beyond measure. Humanity deserves its place among the stars." The crowd erupted once more. Aliens and humans alike cheered, many standing in admiration of both the human challenger and the undefeated princess, who had acknowledged his strength. For the first time in history, humans were being celebrated not as curiosities or underdogs, but as equals, worthy of respect and recognition. Elias lowered his head slightly, acknowledging the cheers with humility. He had not sought fame, but he now understood the significance of his actions. His victory was not just personal. It was a statement for all humanity, a reminder that persistence, intelligence, and courage could overcome even the most formidable odds. Zalara, watching him, felt a growing admiration that went beyond respect for a warrior. There was something in his spirit, something in the way he had faced her that intrigued her. She had never encountered anyone like him, not in skill, not in resolve, and certainly not in character. "You have changed something in me," she said quietly, almost to herself. "You have shown me that humans are not merely clever or adaptable. They are remarkable. They are worthy of trust, admiration, and perhaps something more." Elias met her gaze, understanding the unspoken meaning. He did not smile, for he did not wish to appear arrogant. Instead, he nodded with quiet acknowledgement. "I fight not for rewards or recognition, Princess. I fight because it is what humans do. We endure, we adapt, and we strive to achieve what seems impossible." Zalara's eyes softened further. For the first time, she considered that her playful words at the beginning of the tournament might not have been just words. A human had defeated her, survived her challenges, and earned her admiration, and in doing so, he had created a new respect and bond between their species. The arena slowly emptied as the next stage was being prepared. The spectators continued to cheer, many replaying the incredible moments in their minds. Aliens who had always looked down upon humans now spoke in hushed tones of admiration. The perception of humanity had shifted irrevocably. Back in the center, Zalara and Elias remained. The tension from battle was fading, replaced by a quiet connection born from mutual respect. She extended her hand, not as a gesture of conquest, but as one of recognition. "You have earned much more than victory today. You have earned the respect of a champion, and I will honor my word." Elias took her hand with humility. "Then I accept your recognition with gratitude. Not for myself alone, but for all humans who have been underestimated across the galaxy." The moment was symbolic, a human and an Arcanist princess standing together, united not by conquest but by mutual respect and acknowledgement of courage, intelligence, and spirit. Across the galaxy, this moment would be remembered as a turning point for humanity, a statement that humans could achieve greatness through determination, creativity, and heart. As the lights dimmed and the crowd slowly dispersed, Zalara and Elias remained in the arena, facing each other with quiet smiles. The battle had ended, but the story was far from over. What began as a challenge had become a bridge between worlds, a testament to human perseverance, and the start of something far greater than victory or defeat. The galaxy had witnessed history. A human had stood against a champion and proven that spirit and intelligence could match strength in training. And for the first time, humans were not merely participants in galactic affairs. They were worthy of recognition, respect, and a place among the stars. Zalara, reflecting on the day's events, understood that she had underestimated humans for too long. But now she also knew that this human, this Captain Elias Ward, had changed her view forever. What had started as laughter and playful words had transformed into admiration, respect, and a connection that would echo throughout the galaxy. The aftershocks of victory rippled through every world, every species, and every mind. Humans were no longer seen as fragile or insignificant. They had earned their place, and the galaxy would never forget it. The arena was quiet now, the echoes of the crowd's cheers lingering in the air. The spectacle of the tournament had left every spectator in awe. Across all worlds, the story of a human standing against Princess Zalara of Arcanus spread like wildfire. What had started as a playful declaration had transformed into a historic moment, one that would be remembered for generations. Zalara stood in the center of the arena, her staff lowered but still shimmering with faint energy. She glanced at Elias Ward, the human who had changed everything. He stood tall and composed, eyes steady, face calm but showing the faintest traces of fatigue from the battles. Yet his presence radiated something far more powerful than physical strength: resilience, intelligence, and courage. For a long moment neither spoke. The air between them was charged, not with hostility but with mutual understanding. They had tested each other, pushed one another to the limits, and in doing so had formed a connection forged in challenge and respect. Finally, Zalara spoke, her voice calm yet firm. "Elias Ward, you have done the impossible. You have defeated me, the undefeated champion of Arcanus. You have earned not only my respect but also my recognition and my word." Elias inclined his head slightly, understanding the meaning behind her words. "Princess, I fought not for reward or title," he said, his voice quiet but steady. "I fought to show that humans are capable, that we can endure, adapt, and rise to challenges that others think impossible. Your recognition is more than I could have hoped for, and I accept it humbly." Zalara's violet eyes softened. She smiled, a warm, genuine expression that reached even the most distant corners of the arena. "I never expected this when I made my words. I only intended to amuse the crowd, but you have proven yourself worthy, not just in skill but in spirit." The crowd, which had been watching silently, erupted once more. They could sense the significance of the moment. A human had not only survived and won, but had earned the admiration of the undefeated champion herself. Aliens whispered among themselves, recognizing that history was being written before their eyes. Zalara took a deep breath and spoke again, more softly this time. "You have shown the universe what it means to be human. Courage, determination, ingenuity, and endurance. These are the qualities that define your species. And you, Elias Ward, embody them all." Elias felt a sense of calm pride, but not arrogance. "I am only one human," he said. "But I hope that my actions remind everyone that humans are capable of greatness when we face challenges with heart and mind together." The arena seemed to pulse with energy, as if recognizing the importance of the moment. The battle was over, but its effects would last far longer than any single tournament or duel. The galaxy had witnessed something rare, a human standing not only equal to, but surpassing expectations set by the most formidable alien warrior. Zalara stepped closer, lowering her staff entirely. She extended her hand not in combat but in recognition and connection. "Elias Ward," she said, "you have honored both yourself and your people. It is my duty, and my choice, to acknowledge your achievement fully. Would you accept my hand, not as a prize but as a symbol of respect, trust, and alliance between our worlds?" Elias took her hand gently, his grip firm yet respectful. "I accept, Princess Zalara, not for personal gain, but as a testament to what humans can achieve, and what we can share with the galaxy together." A cheer erupted that shook the arena once more. Humans and aliens alike stood in admiration, witnessing a moment that transcended sport, combat, or entertainment. It was a moment of unity, respect, and recognition, a symbol of what could be achieved when courage and intelligence met opportunity. Zalara smiled, feeling a warmth she had never experienced in the midst of battle before. She had expected only a challenge, but what she had found was something far greater, a connection built on respect and shared triumph. In Elias, she saw a mirror of qualities she admired: persistence, adaptability, and a heart brave enough to stand against impossible odds. Elias, too, felt the weight and significance of the moment. He had never sought fame or recognition, yet here he stood, having proven humanity's worth to an entire galaxy. And he had done it not through arrogance or force alone, but through determination, intelligence, and respect for his opponent. The two of them looked at each other, a mutual understanding passing silently between them. Words were not necessary. The connection had been formed in the heat of battle, in moments of strategy, endurance, and challenge. What had begun as laughter and a bold declaration had evolved into a symbol of alliance and hope. Beyond the arena, the galaxy began to take notice. HoloNet broadcasts from multiple worlds replayed the moments of the battle, analyzing Elias's movements, Zalara's reactions, and the turning point that had changed everything. Across planets, species discussed the human's ingenuity, courage, and resilience, recognizing that humanity was not merely a fledgling species, but one capable of remarkable achievement. Even those who had doubted humans before now spoke with respect. "They have potential far beyond what we imagined," one alien warrior said, watching a replay of the final moments. "They adapt, endure, and think in ways that challenge even the greatest among us." Zalara, walking alongside Elias now, reflected on the events. She had underestimated humans, thinking them fragile and limited. But Elias had shown her otherwise. He had fought with strategy, creativity, and a spirit that refused to break. And in doing so, he had not only changed her perception, but also the perception of countless species across the galaxy. "The universe is full of surprises," Zalara said quietly, glancing at him. "I have faced many warriors, yet none have challenged me like you did. You have taught me something I did not expect to learn, that strength is more than physical power. True strength lies in courage, intelligence, and heart." Elias smiled faintly. "And I have learned from you as well. To face someone as skilled as you requires focus, adaptability, and respect." You have shown me the highest standard of what a warrior can be. Their conversation, calm yet profound, reflected the bond that had formed in the heat of battle. What had started as a simple challenge had grown into a relationship of mutual respect, understanding and recognition, not just for themselves, but for their species as a whole. As the arena emptied, the two of them remained, looking out across the stands that had once been filled with thousands of spectators. The echoes of applause still lingered, but it was the quiet understanding between them that mattered most. They had faced each other at their best, tested each other, and emerged stronger for it. For humans, Elias's victory was more than a personal achievement. It was a statement to the galaxy. They were capable of courage, resilience, and ingenuity that rivaled the greatest species in existence. For the Arcanis and other alien species, Zalara's acknowledgement reinforced the lesson that strength was not just measured in muscle or energy, but in heart, mind, and spirit. Zalara turned to Elias, her expression both playful and sincere. When I made that bold statement, I did not expect it to come true. But now it has, and I am glad it did. Humans are truly remarkable. Elias chuckled softly. I only hope that our actions today inspire others, both human and alien, to believe that even the most unlikely can achieve greatness. The sun-like lights of the arena reflected off their armor and uniform, casting long shadows that symbolized the weight of history being made. In that moment, the galaxy seemed to pause, recognizing the significance of what had transpired. Across worlds, broadcasts replayed the defining moments. Elias's clever maneuvers, his strategic dodges, the turning point where he had shown that courage and intelligence could match skill and power. Humans were celebrated not as underdogs but as equals. And Zalara's acknowledgement cemented the idea that the human spirit could rise above expectations and change perceptions forever. The bond between Zalara and Elias, born in the crucible of combat, had broader implications. It symbolized unity, trust, and the possibility of alliance between species, bridging gaps that had long been considered unchangeable. It was a bond forged not by politics or diplomacy alone, but by respect, challenge, and shared triumph. Finally, Zalara smiled fully, extending her hand once more. Elias Ward, you have earned more than victory. You have earned trust, respect, and a place beside me, not as a subject but as an equal. The galaxy will remember this day, and it will remember you. Elias took her hand firmly, acknowledging her words. Then let this be a beginning, Princess. Not just for us, but for humanity, and for all those who believe that courage, intelligence, and perseverance can achieve greatness. As they walked side by side out of the arena, the crowd erupted in cheers that echoed across worlds. The story of the human who had defeated the undefeated champion, and the princess who honored his achievement, would be told for generations. It was a story of triumph, respect, and the enduring strength of the human spirit, and so, what began as laughter and a bold declaration became history. A human had proven himself, not just to a princess, but to the galaxy. And in doing so, he had forged a new bond, a new understanding, and a new chapter for humanity among the stars. The galaxy had witnessed the impossible. Humans were no longer underestimated. They had earned their place. Through courage, iration were earned, not given. And in Elias War,